Right? So the families are supposed to maintain the tomb. If the family doesn't maintain the tomb, the family dies out or just can't afford it or refuses, the archdiocese can't take the tomb back. Turns out when the archdiocese does that, they have to go through a bunch of paperwork, find out if there's family who's still involved, give them first right of refusal. If they don't, they refuse or can't afford it, the archdiocese can go through the paperwork, take the tomb back, move the remains into a small tomb on the side, make notes, and auction off the plots. Pretty crazy.
City of the Den. What do you guys think?
The wind will blow that away, or you can walk the horizontal away. But in voodoo, we usually do ceremonies.
Guys, this is Marie Laveau's grave. Marie Laveau is a voodoo priestess down here. There used to be X's all over the tomb. The X's have nothing to do with voodoo. Nothing. Please don't mark on the tomb, around the tomb. Marking on the tomb is a straight felony, number one. And the X's have nothing to do with voodoo, so that's just a little ridiculous. Now, Marie Laveau was buried here. Wow. Marie Laveau's family, she was a voodoo priestess, a free woman of color, devout Catholic, and a hairdresser. So it turns out Marie Laveau was a busy woman. She had a bunch of children, most of them daughters, and a lot of them named Marie. Her first daughter was 14 years, her youngest, it turns out. Now, Marie Laveau lived in the quarter. You come by her home and you would knock on her house 3 times. It turns out you'd knock 3 times on her tomb.
And then a turn,
and then
curtsy, and a turn, and a curtsy.
Anyways, people come through to her tomb and they would knock 3 times on the tomb and leave her an offering. Usually it's liquor, tobacco, incense, things like that. It was beauty products, tobacco, incense, candles, things like that. That's what they would do.
Because in voodoo, that's very significant.
People used to come through to her house and they would knock 3 times on her tomb, and at that point what they would do is they would knock on her house, and if you were naked she'd clothe you, if you were hungry she'd feed, it turns out. Now, what happens is this: when you go through in the voodoo tradition, if you're not leaving a key to get somebody on the line to commune with the spirit, you're not doing anything at all. The reason that we have the key or something like that is because it's like putting a quarter in a phone book. You really want to make sure that you get somebody on the line. The gatekeeper is the man who ends up taking the key as the offering. What's up, bud? So, Marie Laveau was buried here. After her death, it turns out she was buried here. People started coming through and marking on her tomb, like that lady showing her tomb, and we started to clean the tomb. And as we did that, you can see the brick and stucco does exactly that. Now, the brick and stucco there started falling off, so we just finished a $10,000 renovation on this tomb. $10,000 restoration. That's why we don't want people marking on the tomb. Beside the fact that it's a straight up felony, which you don't want to put on your resume from here on now, we do this.
So walking the tomb is not kosher.
And the felony.
That's that red mark.
Yeah, somebody did that, but yeah, the X's have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, somebody, and then that's just,
So,
yeah, this
the
is somebody's
archdiocese will come
property.
back
This
through
is where
and
somebody's family is
they'll come back
buried.
through and
That's
they'll
like
clean
going to
that
somebody
off.
else's
So
house and
the
just
archdiocese
next to
can
their house,
go through
you feel
and
that
clean
their
all that
face
off. But
is-
that's a $10,000
Just want, they just won't do it.
Guys,
But yeah,
her family is
that's
buried here. Her
disrespectful
daughter
to
up top
the-
is
she
buried
does
in the name
still
Marie
have
Philomene
family.
Lapillon.
So it is
Marie Laveau may have been
not-
moved out afterwards, after her death, because they
Yeah,
didn't want
exactly.
to
You
be,
can't just go
hexed in the afterlife by a bunch of
defacing
idiots coming
people's
through and doing
graves
things.
or
And she knew this. The family knew this. So apparently the family moved the remains out to a private tomb.
Get a little closer and I'll tell y'all all about who
Sorry. Anyways, yeah, no, the X's have nothing to do with voodoo, so I don't know why she's marking the X's making stuff. But, whatever. But people do leave offerings. You don't want to just leave garbage, it turns out. This is not a trash can. This is somebody's tomb, it turns out. So people would leave things that were supposed to be sacrificed. People would leave things like alcohol, tobacco, money, food sometimes. Leaving her one famous Amos cookie, I don't think it's going to cut it. But people would leave her legitimate offerings. Now, you'd see room card keys and keys. Again, Papa Love, the gatekeeper. You want to get somebody on the line, somebody can open portals, and that's one of the big things that you do. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut around here, guys. This was her tomb, Marie Philomene Lapillon. That was her daughter, buried in 1897. We're going to go by the family home inside the quarter that was done there in 1895, is where she lived until she died. Look at this one.
Did you read it?
Lawn cat?
Huh?
Lawn cat?
Uh-uh.
So,
Excess of that.
y'all remember how I said the X's have nothing to do with voodoo, yeah?
Yes.
Absolutely nothing. This family tomb doesn't either. This was a family of an Italian shoemaker. But an impatient tour guide didn't want to wait over by Marie Laveau's grave, so he comes over here and starts telling people, shh, don't tell anybody, this is really where she's buried. The nameplate had gotten broken because it turns out down here in New Orleans, you've got heat and downward pressure. These things were built on this soft land. You can see the dirt. Right here, this is the top of an old tomb. This is the top of the old tomb. The tomb is so far into the ground that this is actually the top. You can see the front. That's the front of it. That is the top of it. It looks just like this one, except it's in the ground. This is what happens. This is all dirt and sand and shells, and it's really soft, and the heat and the water, and then it dries out and it falls. But somewhere along the way, the nameplates come off. If you look around at some of these nameplates on through here, especially the bigger ones that are the old marble, you'll see that they're bowed, they're curved. That's hard to do with stone. Over 150 years of heat, moisture, and downward pressure can bend solid marble. An inch thick solid marble just bends it. So these things eventually break off and shatter. It's not just vandalism, but that is another reason that we have it. But when there was no nameplate here, suddenly people stopped going over Marie Laveau and like, shh, don't tell anybody, this is really where she's buried, which is total rubbish. People started leaving offerings and marking X's, but again, don't mark on the tombs. You don't want that kind of mojo on your flight home. All right. So the X's, people would knock, and that would be appropriate. Knocking on the tombstone of spirit, something like that. But the X's, no go. I don't care what the Travel Channel says. That'll land you up in prison. And they do. The Travel Channel's like, yeah, no, everybody does it. And we're like, yeah, Travel Channel, do your homework. So these tombs, though, could be built 1 vault, 2 vaults, 3 vaults high. This is 8 vaults. Families would pool their resources together, build the tombs. You can see there's a shelf here. This stone shelf here goes all the way back, and there would be a shaft in the back and a caveau down below the tomb. The caveau is a little spot below. The length and width of the depth of the tomb is about 2.5 feet. So you can keep putting bodies back in there year after year after year. These are structural supports. You'll see these on buildings inside the French Quarter on the bricks. You'll see these supports. It keeps them from rocking, tipping, things like that. Basically, if you think tension concrete, this kind of works the same way. It keeps that working. You'll see that in other places around the U.S. too. Places normally that are prone to earthquakes, though, not necessarily just hurricanes. Follow me this way.
Hey, Kay, can you hold this? It's starting to aggravate me.
This tomb right here, guys, was built for about $250,000, $250,000 about 5-6 years ago. In contrast, the tomb of Mary and the Cross right back behind you is all imported Italian marble. That was built for $40,000 in 1851. $40,000 in 1851. Imported Italian handcrafted marble designed by a man named Pietro Gaudi. Died 3 days after its completion. The reason you got tombs like that, those large tombs, are called society tombs. They were built for groups of immigrants who came through without enough money to actually build a private tomb or buy a family tomb. So what you would do is pool your resources, build something grand, and at the end of your life, your family maintained, your family was taken care of, your medical bills were paid for, your burial cost was covered. The tomb of Mary and the Cross is where they filmed Easy Rider, and it's got over 2,500 people buried inside of it. Again, we have over 100,000 people buried in this one city block since 1789. $40,000 also built the Lejeune Felker tomb right in front of it last year. So there's your value of the dollar, guys. That's inflation right there. Visual for you. 1851. $250,000. 2 plots were bought up at auction. 2 plots bought up at auction. Nowadays, to build vault 2 high right there, that's going to be about $60,000. So 120 plus you want to be extra special.
It's more the property.
It's the Archdiocese home, so the IRS came to take this man's tomb back. Nicolas Cage, it turns out, this is his tomb. Nicolas Cage spent $250,000 plus $30,000 in genealogy fees to go through and find out that 2 members of the Coppola bloodline could be traced back through Sicily, back over to here as immigrant laborers, and were buried in one of the St. Louis Cemetery Society tombs. So he has access and every right at that point to be buried here. So he's rich, he's Catholic, he's batshit crazy. Welcome, Nicolas Cage. That's where he buried his career after Ghost Rider, and it's where we're going to put him someday. He comes and visits his tomb once or twice a year, it turns out. Visits a couple times a year. It's pretty cool. Occasionally you can see him. Anya Abuno from All Is One, All From One. In this guy's case, all about him. These ladies are kissing the tombs. Ladies, please don't kiss the tombs. They have bad taste and poor judgment. You don't want what they got. You know what I mean? Just don't do it. But the tomb with Mary and the Cross back there is where they filmed Easy Rider. Peter Fonda, Dennis Hopper come and film a movie, Easy Rider, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and the Archdiocese is not having it. So they send the police kick them out, and as they're being chased out here, they drop a can of footage, which happens to be the acid trip scene they were filming here, which is why it looks the way it does. It's all burned and weird colors and stuff. That's because it got overexposed to the sun before they actually got it done. Yep. Now Mary is pointing towards the exit. You've also got the cross back up front on the steeple. I'm going to give you guys a little time in here, about 10 minutes or so. Take a walk around, take some pictures. If you get turned around, just find the steeple, run to it like a zombie movie. Okay, I'll be out there with Queen. Check your watch, take about 10 minutes, and we'll head back in as I want to show you a lot more about the city here. All right?
Thank
All right,
you.
see you back out front.